The chamber was built to intimidate. Ambassador Chen Wei understood this the moment the doors sealed behind her. The vast circular room stretched upward into darkness. Its walls lined with viewing platforms where representatives from 12 alien species watched her like predators studying prey. She walked alone across the polished floor, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Above her, holographic displays showed star maps of human territory marked in red, surrounded by the green expanse of concordate space. The message was clear. Humanity was a small infection in their perfect order. Ambassador Chen Wei of Earth, a voice boomed through the chamber. The translator in her ear rendered it into Mandarin, though she heard the original clicks and whistles underneath. You stand before the Galactic Concordat to answer for your species' violations. Chen stopped at the center mark, where a circle of light illuminated her position. She kept her spine straight, her face neutral. 200 years of human space exploration, and it had come to this. A trial they never asked for, judged by laws they never agreed to follow. The Vryn representative spoke first. Zaltesh was his name, and his species looked like crystalline insects standing upright. His body reflected the chamber lights in prismatic colors. Humanity has established colonies in 17 systems. 15 of these systems fall within territories claimed by Concordat members over 3,000 years ago. This is unacceptable. With respect, Chen said, her voice amplified through the chamber. Earth was not part of the Concordat when those claims were made. We found empty systems. We settled them. We harmed no one. A rippling sound filled the chamber. The Quelix delegation, aquatic beings in environmental suits, expressed their displeasure. Their speaker addressed the assembly. Ignorance of law does not excuse violation. The human species entered galactic space 2 centuries ago. You were informed of Concordat territorial guidelines. You chose to ignore them. We chose to survive, Chen replied. Earth's population reached 15 billion. We needed space to grow. The systems we colonized were uninhabited. No Concordat species had set foot on those worlds for millennia. Irrelevant, Zaltesh's mandibles clicked. Ownership is not determined by occupation but by right of claim. The Concordat has maintained galactic peace for 5,000 years through these principles. Humanity's refusal to honor them marks your species as dangerous. Chen felt her jaw tighten. She had spent 3 months traveling to this station. 3 months preparing arguments, 3 months hoping for reason. Now she understood. This was not a negotiation. This was a sentencing. What does the Concordat demand? She asked. The chamber fell silent. Then a new figure emerged from the shadows of the highest platform. The eldest, leader of the Concordat Council, descended on a gravity platform. Its species, the Thalkarine, were the first to achieve faster-than-light travel. They considered themselves the galaxy's natural leaders. The eldest's form was humanoid but stretched, its skin a deep purple that seemed to absorb light. Its eyes were silver orbs without pupils. When it spoke, every translator in the chamber rendered its words simultaneously. Humanity will withdraw from all contested systems within 60 standard days. All colony populations will return to Sol system. Human vessels will be restricted to Earth's immediate orbital space. A Concordat Oversight Council will be established on Earth to monitor your species' compliance with galactic law. The words hit Chen like physical blows. Withdraw from the colonies. Abandon millions of people who had built lives on new worlds. Submit to alien oversight on Earth itself? That is surrender, Chen said quietly. You are asking us to surrender our sovereignty. We are asking you to accept reality, the eldest replied. Humanity is 1 species. The Concordat is 12. You have 200 years of spacefaring experience. We have 5,000. You possess 300 warships. The Concordat commands 30,000. This is not a conflict you can win, Ambassador. This is not even a conflict. This is correction. Chen closed her eyes for a moment. Behind her eyelids, she saw faces. Her daughter on Mars colony, her brother managing agricultural domes on Proxima Station, millions of humans who had left Earth seeking new lives, new opportunities, new worlds to call home. And if we refuse, she asked, then corrective action will be taken. The eldest's tone remained neutral, as if discussing weather patterns. Concordat peacekeeping forces will occupy human colonies. Resistance will be met with appropriate force. Your species will learn to coexist with galactic civilization, whether willingly or not. You mean you will kill us into compliance. We mean we will enforce order. The eldest tilted its head. Do not mistake our patience for weakness, Ambassador. Younger species often do. They see our preference for diplomacy as inability to act. This is incorrect. The Concordat maintains peace because we possess the strength to do so. You have 60 days to choose wisdom over stubbornness. Chen looked up at the viewing platforms, at the representatives of 12 species who had decided humanity's fate without truly knowing them. They saw humans as children throwing tantrums, disrupting an order they considered perfect. They had no idea what they were threatening. I will deliver your ultimatum to Earth, Chen said. But understand this. Humanity left Earth because we dream of the stars. We build homes on distant worlds because we believe in the future. We have children growing up under alien skies who know no other home. You are asking us to abandon them, to cage ourselves, to surrender everything we have worked for. We are asking you to accept reality, Zaltesh repeated. Your dreams do not supersede our law. Perhaps, Chen said softly, you should ask yourselves why you fear one species' dreams so much that you threaten war to stop them. The eldest made a gesture, and Chen's platform began moving toward the exit. The audience was over. She had 60 days to convince Earth to surrender, or watch everything humanity had built burn. As the doors opened and she stepped into the corridor where her security team waited, Chen activated her personal recorder. Her hands were steady, though her heart hammered in her chest. This is Ambassador Chen Wei transmitting Priority Alpha to Unified Command. The Concordat has delivered an ultimatum. Withdrawal from all colonies within 60 days or face military action. Admiral Kowalski, they have already decided. I saw it in their eyes. They do not want compliance. They want submission. They want humanity to know its place. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. War is coming whether we comply or not. If we surrender, they will find another reason to impose their will on us. Another line we crossed. Another rule we broke. They see us as children to be disciplined, not equals to be respected. Recommend immediate activation of Damocles Protocol. We have 60 days to prepare for what they are going to do to us. Chen closed the recording and walked toward her ship. Behind her, the Concordat celebrated their diplomatic victory, certain that the upstart humans would see reason. They had no idea what humanity became when cornered. They had no idea that peace-loving dreamers, when threatened with extinction, could become something far more dangerous. They were about to learn. The countdown to war had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral James Kowalski stood in the command center beneath Geneva, watching 300 screens display information from across human space. 30 days had passed since Chen's message arrived. 30 days to prepare for a war against an enemy that outnumbered them 100 to 1. Status report, he said, his voice cutting through the controlled chaos of the operations room. Commander Lisa Torres pulled up a holographic display. All colonial evacuations are proceeding on schedule. Priority 1 populations, children and non-combatants are being moved to secure locations. Mars shipyards report construction ahead of timeline. We will have 47 new vessels operational before the deadline. 47 ships, Kowalski repeated. Against 30,000. Yes, sir. Kowalski studied the display showing human territory. 17 colonies spread across 15 systems, millions of people who had made lives among the stars. The Concordat wanted humanity to abandon all of it, to crawl back to Earth and accept their judgment. Activate Damocles Protocol, Kowalski said. Full implementation. The room fell silent. Every officer turned to look at him. The Damocles Protocol was the contingency plan humanity had developed after first contact with the Concordat. When humanity realized the galaxy operated on power, not justice, they began preparing, not for a war they wanted, but for a war they knew might come. Admiral, Torres said quietly, Damocles means total commitment. Once we activate it, there is no diplomatic solution. No surrender option. The Concordat removed that option when they gave us 60 days to surrender everything, Kowalski replied. Execute the protocol. Across human space, orders began transmitting on encrypted channels. Messages that would change everything. On Mars, the shipyards entered emergency production mode. The new vessels being constructed did not follow Concordat design philosophy. Concordat ships were massive, built for fleet engagements where size and firepower determined victory. Human ships were smaller, faster, designed for hit-and-run tactics. They carried experimental weapons the Concordat dismissed as primitive. Commander Sarah Okonkwo worked in Luna Research Station, deep beneath the moon's surface. Around her, scientists and engineers finalized projects that had been theoretical until 30 days ago. Now theory became desperate reality. The gravity disruptors are ready, she reported to Kowalski via secure link. But Admiral, the power requirements are enormous. We can deploy them, but only in a defensive capacity around key systems. That's all we need, Kowalski said. What about the autonomous systems? Okonkwo pulled up specifications for what her team privately called the Hornets, small AI-driven drones packed with high-yield explosives. They could stay dormant in space for years, activating only when enemy vessels came within range. They violated every Concordat treaty on autonomous weapons. Production is underway, Okonkwo said. We can deploy 50,000 units before the deadline. Do it. Seed them throughout our territory and along likely approach vectors. Okonkwo hesitated. Admiral, once we deploy autonomous weapons, the Concordat will consider it an escalation. They may attack before the 60 days expire. They are going to attack regardless, Commander. Our job is to make them regret it. In the outer colonies, the evacuation continued. But not everyone left. Volunteers stayed behind, people who refused to abandon their homes. They were armed, trained in guerrilla tactics, prepared to make any Concordat occupation as costly as possible. On Taetti Station, Governor Marcus Webb addressed the volunteers who would stay behind. 500 people in a chamber built for celebrations, now preparing for war. The Concordat thinks we will run, Webb said. They think we are soft. They believe our love of peace makes us weak. They are about to discover their mistake. This is our home. Some of us were born here. All of us chose to be here. We will not surrender it to aliens who have never set foot on our soil but claim they own it. The volunteers cheered. They were farmers, engineers, teachers, ordinary people preparing to fight for their right to exist where they chose. Meanwhile, humanity cut off all communication with Concordat monitoring stations. Every human vessel went dark, disappearing from sensors. Colony world stopped transmitting. To the Concordat, it looked like humanity was withdrawing, preparing to comply. Admiral Kowalski knew better. He was not withdrawing. He was hiding, making the Concordat blind to human movements. When the war came, surprise would be humanity's greatest weapon. Zaltesh, the Vryn commander, watched from his flagship as human signals disappeared one by one. He reported to the Concordat Council with satisfaction. The humans are complying. Their colonies are going dark as they evacuate. Perhaps they are not as foolish as we believed. The eldest reviewed the data. Maintain surveillance. Humanity has shown stubborn tendencies. We must ensure complete compliance. Concordat scout ships entered human space, monitoring for any signs of resistance. They found dark colonies, silent stations, empty shipping lanes. They reported back that humanity appeared to be withdrawing peacefully. They did not see the hidden shipyards. They did not detect the weapons being deployed in the darkness between stars. They did not understand that humanity's silence was not surrender, but preparation. Back on Earth, Admiral Kowalski met with Ambassador Chen in the secure facility beneath Geneva. She looked exhausted from her journey and the weight of what she had witnessed. They were so certain, Chen said, so confident that we would submit. The eldest spoke about correcting us like we were children who misbehaved. They see us as inferior, Kowalski said. In their eyes, we are newcomers who do not understand galactic civilization. They have forgotten what it means to fight for survival. They have been the dominant power for so long that they cannot imagine losing. Can we win, James? Kowalski looked at the display showing human preparations. Win? I do not know. Survive? Yes. Make them bleed? Absolutely. The Concordat fights wars of dominance. They expect enemies to surrender when the cost becomes too high. But we are not fighting for dominance. We are fighting for the right to exist as a free species. There is no cost too high for that. Chen nodded slowly. What do you need from me? When the fighting starts, I need you to speak for us. To tell the galaxy why we fight. To make sure history remembers we did not want this war. I will, Chen promised. 25 days remained until the deadline. In the outer colonies, the last evacuation ships departed, carrying children and elderly to secure locations deeper in human space. Those who stayed behind prepared defenses, turning peaceful settlements into fortresses. In Mars orbit, the final ships rolled out of the yards. Captains took command of vessels that still smelled of fresh construction. With crews barely trained but determined, on Luna, Dr. Okonkwo watched as the last gravity disruptor was installed in its hidden location. The weapon that could change the course of the war, if they survived long enough to use it. And beneath Geneva, Admiral Kowalski recorded a message to be transmitted to all human forces when the war began. His face was grim, aged by the burden of command. To all personnel across human space, in a few days the Concordat will come. They will demand our surrender. They will threaten our destruction. They believe we will break, that our love of peace makes us weak. Remember this. We did not choose this fight. We offered peace. We proposed compromise. We begged for a diplomatic solution. They demanded submission instead. So when they come, show them what humanity becomes when cornered. Show them that peaceful people forced to become warriors are the most dangerous warriors of all. Remember why we fight. Not for conquest, not for glory, for the simple right to live free among the stars. Make them regret forcing this choice upon us. He ended the recording and looked at Torres. Is everything ready? Yes, sir. All pieces are in place. Now we wait. Now we wait, Kowalski agreed. 5 days before the deadline, the Concordat assembled its first wave. 6 species contributed ships to what they called a peacekeeping fleet. 1,500 vessels, more than enough to crush any resistance humanity could mount. They jumped toward Taetti system, humanity's furthest colony. They expected to find either an evacuated system or token resistance they could easily destroy. They found neither. The trap was set. Humanity's message was prepared, and the galaxy was about to learn that some species, when threatened with extinction, do not surrender. They evolve into something far more dangerous. Fleet Commander Zaltesh watched the Taetti system appear on his displays as the Concordat fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. 1,500 ships, the largest peacekeeping operation in 3 centuries, against one human colony that should have been evacuated by now. Sensor sweep, he ordered. The Vryn tactical officer manipulated the controls with crystalline limbs. Commander, the system appears empty. No active power signatures from the colony. No ships in orbit. No communications. They complied, Zaltesh said with satisfaction. The humans recognized reality. Advance to occupation positions. Deploy landing forces to verify the colony status. The fleet moved forward in perfect formation, a demonstration of Concordat power and coordination. Ships from 6 species moved as one, their tactics refined over millennia of dominance. They approached the dark colony world with the confidence of victors. Governor Marcus Webb watched from a bunker 3 kilometers beneath Taetti Prime's surface. Around him, 500 volunteers monitored the approaching fleet on displays linked to hidden sensors scattered across the system. They are coming straight in, Webb said quietly. Just like Admiral Kowalski predicted. They do not expect a fight. Should we signal the fleet? His second-in-command asked. Not yet. Let them get closer. Let them commit their landing forces. Then we spring the trap. In orbit, hidden among the debris field that ringed Taetti Prime, Captain Jennifer Russo commanded the stealth carrier, Prometheus. Around her ship, 47 human vessels waited in complete silence, their reactors running cold. Their hulls coated with sensor-absorbing materials. They had been waiting here for 12 days. Concordat fleet entering optimal engagement range, her tactical officer reported. Landing craft are launching. Count 300 dropships heading for the surface. Russo watched the enemy fleet spreading out, confident and relaxed. They thought the system was empty. They were wrong. Signal all ships, Russo said. On my mark, full activation. Target the landing craft first, then the escort vessels. Hit them hard. Hit them fast, then scatter according to plan. On the planet's surface, the first Concordat dropships entered atmosphere. Their crews chatted casually, discussing how easy this occupation would be. They expected to find empty buildings, abandoned infrastructure, maybe a few stragglers who failed to evacuate. The first dropship exploded at 10,000 meters. Then another, then 50 more. The colony's abandoned buildings erupted with anti-aircraft fire. Missile batteries, hidden underground and camouflaged to look like natural rock formations, activated and began tracking targets. The landing force, caught in atmospheric flight with no room to maneuver, was slaughtered. What is happening? Zaltesh screamed at his tactical officer. Where did those weapons come from? Unknown, Commander. The colony is armed and active. We are reading multiple power signatures across the surface. In orbit, Captain Russo gave the order. All ships activate and engage. The space around Taetti Prime erupted with human vessels as they powered up their reactors and dropped their stealth coating. The Concordate fleet spread out and unprepared for combat, reacted too slowly. Human ships were smaller, faster, and used tactics no Concordate commander had seen before. They did not engage in formation. They did not target ship to ship. Instead, they launched swarms of missiles and broke apart, each ship operating independently, striking from unexpected angles. The Prometheus fired a spread of 50 missiles at the nearest Concordate cruiser. The enemy's point defense destroyed 47 of them. The remaining 3 struck home, tearing through crystalline armor and detonating inside the ship's reactor core. The cruiser shattered in a brilliant explosion. "Target destroyed," Russo's tactical officer reported. "But Commander, we have incoming fire from multiple vectors. Break formation and scatter," Russo ordered. All ships execute evasion pattern Delta. The human fleet dissolved like smoke, each ship darting away on different vectors. The Concordate vessels, designed for formation warfare, struggled to track individual targets that refused to fight in predictable patterns. Then the autonomous drones activated. Dr. Okonkwo's Hornets had been seeded throughout the system, dormant and undetectable until enemy ships came within activation range. Now thousands of small AI-driven weapons woke up and began hunting. A Quelix destroyer was tracking a human corvette when 5 drones attached to its hull and detonated simultaneously. The destroyer's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered no protection against physical explosives attached directly to the hull. The ship broke in half. "Autonomous weapons!" A Concordate captain screamed over the command network. "They deployed autonomous weapons. This violates every treaty." "We are not signatories to your treaties," came Admiral Kowalski's voice, broadcasting from Earth on all Concordate frequencies. "You gave us 60 days to surrender our freedom. We chose to fight instead. Every ship you send, we will destroy. Every world you threaten, we will defend. You wanted to correct us? Come and try." The battle raged for 4 hours. The Concordate fleet, though outnumbering the humans, was fighting a type of war they had never experienced. Human ships refused to stand and fight. They struck, withdrew, struck from another angle. They used the planet's gravity well, the asteroid field, the debris from destroyed ships as cover. More critically, they were willing to trade 1 ship to destroy 2. Concordate tactics assumed preservation of assets. Human tactics assumed desperation and sacrifice. A human frigate, its engines damaged and unable to escape, turned directly toward a Concordate battleship and accelerated to maximum velocity. The battleship destroyed the frigate at close range, but the debris field, traveling at relativistic speeds, continued forward and tore through the battleship's bow like a shotgun blast. Zaltesh watched his fleet being torn apart by an enemy that should not have been able to resist. "All ships withdraw! Retreat to Rally Point Gamma." But withdrawal was not simple. The autonomous drones pursued, latching onto ships trying to flee. Human vessels harried the retreat, launching missiles at maximum range. The Concordate fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel with 40% casualties. On Taetti Prime, Governor Webb and his volunteers emerged from their bunkers to watch burning Concordate wreckage fall from orbit. They had won the first battle, but they knew more would come. Captain Russo surveyed the damage to her fleet. 23 human ships destroyed, 47 Concordate vessels confirmed destroyed, with dozens more damaged. Against overwhelming numbers, humanity had won. "Signal Earth," Russo ordered. "Taetti holds. Concordat first wave defeated, awaiting further orders." On the Concordate Council Station, the eldest convened an emergency session. The 12 species representatives were no longer dismissive. They were angry. "The humans used autonomous weapons," the Quelix delegate said. "They attacked without warning. They targeted our ships with suicide tactics. This is not civilized warfare." "Because it is not warfare between civilized powers," the eldest said coldly. "It is extermination of a species that refuses to accept its place. Zaltesh, you will take 6 more species fleets. You will crush Taetti and every other human colony. Show them the price of resistance." Zaltesh, humiliated and furious, bowed. "It will be done, eldest. But I request authorization for unrestricted tactics. These humans fight without honor. We must respond in kind. Authorization granted. Teach them what happens when lesser species defy the Concordate." As the meeting ended, Ambassador Chen's voice began broadcasting across all Concordate channels. She spoke from Earth, her face calm but her words carrying the weight of a species fighting for survival. To the Concordat Council and all species listening, today you sent ships to force humanity into submission. Today we sent you a message in return. We are not your subjects. We are not your children to be disciplined. We are a free species fighting for our right to exist among the stars. You call our tactics dishonorable because they are effective. You call us uncivilized because we refuse to die by your rules. She paused, letting her words sink in. Humanity did not want this war. We begged for peace. We offered compromise. We tried every diplomatic solution. You responded with ultimatums and threats. So understand this clearly. You chose this conflict, not us. You forced peaceful explorers to become soldiers. You made dreamers into warriors. And now you face what you created. Every ship you send, we will fight. Every world you attack, we will defend. We will not surrender. We will not submit. We will die free before we live as your prisoners. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, dozens of species watched and listened. The Concordat had always been the dominant power. Now one small species was defying them publicly. Some species watched with interest. Others with fear. A few with quiet hope. In Geneva, Admiral Kowalski reviewed the battle reports. The victory at Taetti was important, but it was only the first engagement. The Concordat would send more ships, more species, more overwhelming force. Can we win? Commander Torres asked quietly. Kowalski looked at her with tired eyes. Win? I do not know. But we made them bleed. We made them hesitate. We showed them that humanity will not go quietly. That may be enough. Enough for what? Enough to make them decide subjugating us costs more than leaving us alone. Enough to show the galaxy that the Concordat can be defied. 8 months after the first battle, the war had spread across 17 systems. Admiral Kowalski stood in the Geneva Command Center, watching casualty reports scroll across displays. The numbers were devastating. 147 human ships destroyed. 6 colonies burned by Concordat retaliation strikes. Mars shipyards reduced to debris, but the Concordat numbers were worse. 600 ships destroyed. Supply lines disrupted across a dozen systems. 3 species had privately approached Earth requesting negotiations. The Galactic Order was fracturing. Admiral, we have confirmation from Alpha Centauri, Commander Torres reported. The supply convoy was destroyed. All 15 Concordat vessels, including the escorts. How many ships did we lose? Kowalski asked. None, sir. The autonomous drones did all the work. Kowalski nodded grimly. Humanity's strategy had evolved from direct combat to guerrilla warfare across space. Human ships rarely engaged in fleet battles anymore. Instead, they ceded enemy territory with drones, mined supply routes, sabotaged shipyards, and broadcast Concordat military communications to sow paranoia. The Concordat was learning to fight a war where the enemy refused to stand still. On Luna Research Station, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo supervised the final testing of her latest creation. The weapon she had been developing since the war began, the one that might change everything or destroy them all. Power levels are stable, her assistant reported. The gravity matrix is holding at 97% efficiency. Not good enough, Okonkwo said. We need 99% minimum. At these energy levels, a 3% loss could cause a cascade failure. Doctor, we are running out of time. The Concordat is assembling a final fleet. Intelligence suggests they plan to strike Sol directly. Okonkwo looked at the massive construct they had built in secret beneath Luna's surface. A network of gravity manipulation satellites, each one linked to create a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had seen, based on theoretical physics that most species considered impossible. How long until the weapon is ready for deployment? Kowalski's voice came through her communicator. 2 months, Admiral. Maybe 3? The power requirements are enormous. You have 6 weeks, Kowalski said. After that, it will not matter. The Concordat is coming with everything they have. The war had changed both sides. The Concordat, accustomed to quick victories and submission, found itself bleeding resources in a conflict with no end. Humanity, once explorers and dreamers, had become something darker. More desperate, more dangerous. Captain Jennifer Russo, now commanding a squadron of stealth raiders, led an attack on a Vrin fuel depot deep in Concordat space. Her 12 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, struck the facility with kinetic missiles, and vanished before the defense fleet could respond. The depot, containing fuel for 500 ships, exploded in a fireball visible from 2 light-years away. But humanity was bleeding too. On New Hope Colony, Concordate forces had landed and occupied the main settlements. Governor Sarah Kim watched from hidden shelters as alien troops patrolled streets where human children once played. The occupation was brutal, designed to break human resistance, but it did not break them. It made them angrier. Admiral Kowalski received reports of resistance cells on occupied worlds. Humans fighting with captured weapons, using their knowledge of local terrain to ambush patrols. The Concordate called them terrorists. Kowalski called them heroes. Then came the day Kowalski had dreaded. Concordate forces captured a human transport carrying civilians being evacuated from an outer colony. 3,000 people, including 500 children. The eldest sent a message directly to Earth. "Release your prisoners," the message said. "Surrender your remaining colonies. Accept Concordate authority, or we execute every human on the captured transport. You have 48 hours. Kowalski sat in his office, staring at the message. Around him, his staff waited for orders. This was the moment he had feared from the beginning. The moment when principles collided with lives. Commander Torres entered quietly. "Admiral, the transport is holding in the Sirius system. They are broadcasting live video of the prisoners, showing us the children. What are our options? We could attempt a rescue, but the transport is surrounded by 30 Concordate warships. Any rescue mission would be suicide, and likely fail. So we surrender or watch children die." Torres said nothing. There was nothing to say. Kowalski looked at the star map showing Concordate space. Then he made the hardest decision of his life. "Send the following message to Ambassador Chen. Broadcast it on all channels, including the one the Concordate is monitoring." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "The Concordate has taken hostages, including children, and threatens execution unless we surrender. We will not surrender. We will not allow evil acts to dictate our choices. If the Concordate executes prisoners, they prove themselves murderers who cannot be negotiated with. They prove that surrender would only delay, not prevent, our destruction. So we will not surrender, and we will not forget." He looked at Torres, and she saw the pain in his eyes. At the same time, launch Operation Nightfall. Target Concordate civilian infrastructure, power stations, agricultural centers, water treatment facilities. Hit 6 species home systems simultaneously. If they kill our children, we show them that two can play that game. "Admiral," Torres whispered, "that is crossing a line. They crossed it first. We tried peace. We tried honor. We tried every civilized option. Now we try survival. Execute the orders." The Concordate did not expect humanity to refuse. They did not expect the counter-threat. They especially did not expect human ships to appear in orbit above their home worlds, targeting civilian infrastructure. The eldest convened an emergency session. For the first time since the war began, they faced a species that would not be intimidated by threats. "If we execute the prisoners, they attack our civilian populations," the Quelix delegate said. "If we release them, we show weakness." "We are not weak," Zaltesh insisted. "We are merciful. The humans mistake our civilization for softness. Execute the prisoners. Show them what happens when they defy us." But other voices disagreed. 3 species had already lost supply depots, shipyards, and military bases to human raids. Now humanity threatened their homeworlds. The war that was supposed to be quick and easy had become a nightmare. "Perhaps," one delegate suggested quietly, "we could negotiate terms." "No," the eldest voice silenced the chamber. "We do not negotiate with species who refuse their place. The humans will submit or be destroyed. There is no third option." The eldest ordered Zaltesh to release the prisoners, but immediately begin planning the final strike. An armada composed of 8 species fleets, thousands of ships to assault Sol system directly. To end the war by destroying humanity's homeworld. The prisoners were released, appearing in life pods near a human patrol route. They told stories of their captivity, of Concordate soldiers who saw them as less than people, of the casual cruelty of species who considered themselves civilized. Admiral Kowalski watched the refugees return and felt his heart harden further. He had crossed a line by threatening civilian targets. He had become something he never wanted to be. But the alternative was extinction. Ambassador Chen found him alone in his office, staring at casualty reports. "James, you saved those people," she said gently. "By threatening to kill others, by becoming what we claimed we were not, by doing what was necessary to survive. The Concordate gave us no choice." Kowalski looked at her with haunted eyes. "We were explorers, Chen, scientists, dreamers who wanted to see the stars. Look what they made us become. They made us survivors, Chen said. They made us fighters. And yes, they made us harder. But we are still human. We still care about those children we saved. The Concordat would have executed them without hesitation. That is the difference. Reports came in of the Concordat assembling their final fleet. 8,000 ships, the largest armada in galactic history. They would jump directly to Sol system, bypassing all outer colonies, striking at Earth itself. Kowalski called his senior staff together. The final battle is coming. Everything we have done, every sacrifice we have made, comes down to this. Dr. Okonkwo, status of the weapon? Still not ready, Admiral. We need more time. You have 4 weeks. After that, the Concordat arrives. He looked around the room at faces aged by war. We have fought for 8 months. We have lost ships, colonies, friends. But we are still here. Still fighting. The Concordat thought we would break. They were wrong. Now they come to finish us. They will find we are not finished yet. On Luna, Okonkwo and her team worked around the clock. The gravity weapon was humanity's last hope. If it failed, Earth would burn. If it succeeded, they might finally end this war. In Concordat space, the massive fleet assembled. Ships from 8 species, united in their determination to crush humanity once and for all. They had been humiliated by a lesser species. They had lost thousands of ships. They had seen their perfect order challenged. Now they would restore that order with overwhelming force. Zaltesh, commanding the fleet, looked at the tactical display showing 8,000 ships ready to jump. Set course for Sol system. We end this war. We end this species' resistance. The Concordat will prevail. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel heading for Earth, heading for the final battle that would decide humanity's fate. The Concordat armada emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Sol system. 8,000 ships representing 8 species united in their determination to end humanity's resistance. Fleet Commander Zaltesh looked at the tactical display with satisfaction. After 8 months of humiliation, after losing thousands of ships to human guerrilla tactics, the Concordat would finally crush this upstart species. All ships, advance to Earth orbit, Zaltesh ordered. Maintain formation. Destroy any resistance. This ends today. The massive fleet moved forward like a tide of steel and crystal, their formation perfect, their purpose clear. They expected to find a desperate defense, perhaps a few hundred human ships making a final stand. What they found waiting surprised them. Every remaining human warship orbited Earth. 300 vessels, battered and scarred from 8 months of war, positioned in defensive formation. Orbital defense platforms, hastily constructed and armed with everything humanity could mount. And something else. A strange construct orbiting Luna, its purpose unclear, connected by a web of satellites that surrounded Sol's inner system. Admiral Kowalski stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, watching the Concordat fleet approach. Around him, every screen showed enemy ships, so many they seemed to fill space itself. 8,000 against 300. A battle no one could win, but humanity would fight it anyway. All ships, this is Admiral Kowalski. We knew this moment would come. The Concordat has brought everything they have to destroy us, to force us into submission, to end our dream of living free among the stars. They believe overwhelming numbers ensure victory. They are about to learn their mistake. He paused, looking at Commander Torres beside him, at Ambassador Chen observing from the command deck, at the crew who had followed him through 8 months of impossible war. We fight not for conquest but survival, not for glory but freedom. Every person on Earth looks to us now. Every human who ever dreamed of the stars depends on what we do in the next hours. We will not fail them. We will show the Concordat what humanity becomes when cornered. Engage the enemy! The human fleet surged forward and the battle for Earth began. It was immediately clear humanity could not win through conventional warfare. The Concordat fleet was simply too large, too powerful. Human ships fought with desperate courage, using every trick they had learned, but the numbers were overwhelming. For every Concordat ship destroyed, humanity lost 2. On Luna, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo watched the battle through sensors while making final adjustments to her weapon. The gravity manipulation network was ready, but barely. They had rushed the final tests. If anything went wrong, the weapon could tear Luna apart. But if they did nothing, Earth would burn. Admiral, the weapon is ready, she reported, but I need all human ships to withdraw to minimum safe distance. The gravity effects will be catastrophic within the inner system. Kowalski looked at the tactical display. The human fleet was engaged across the battlefield. If he ordered withdrawal now, the Concordat would reach Earth orbit unopposed. But if Okonkwo's weapon failed, humanity would lose both the fleet and the planet. How long do you need? Kowalski asked. 10 minutes to charge the system. Then the effects are immediate. All ships, this is Kowalski. Execute retreat protocol Omega. Fall back to defensive line Beta, beyond the orbit of Luna. Maximum speed. Captain Jennifer Russo, commanding the carrier Prometheus, received the order with confusion. Admiral, if we retreat, they will reach Earth uncontested. Trust me, Captain. Fall back now. That is an order. The human fleet broke off engagement and accelerated toward the outer defensive line. The Concordat commanders, surprised by the sudden retreat, hesitated. Then Zaltesh realized what was happening. They are running. The humans are fleeing. All ships pursue and destroy. The Concordat fleet surged forward, eager to finish the battle. They pushed deeper into Sol system, following the retreating humans, moving closer to the sun. Their formation dissolved as faster ships outpaced slower ones, all discipline lost in the excitement of victory. Okonkwo watched the enemy fleet position and felt her heart race. They were in optimal range now, surrounding the sun caught in Sol's gravity well. If the weapon worked, they would all die. Thousands of ships. Hundreds of thousands of crew. She would be responsible for more deaths than any human in history. Doctor, Kowalski's voice came through her communicator. We are at minimum safe distance. Fire when ready. Okonkwo looked at her team, young scientists and engineers who had built this weapon from theoretical physics and desperate hope. They looked back at her, waiting for the order that would change history. Activate the gravity. Network, she said quietly. Lunar Research Station. Channeled every ounce of power from Sol's orbital. Collectors into the satellite network. The satellites hidden throughout the inner system activated simultaneously. They were not weapons themselves. They were gravity manipulation devices, designed to amplify and direct gravitational forces. Space around the Concordat fleet began to warp. On his flagship, Zaltesh felt the first effects as his ship's navigation systems went haywire. What is happening? Report. Commander, gravity readings are spiking. Something is pulling us toward the sun. Impossible. Reverse thrust, full power. But it was not impossible. Humanity had done what the Concordat considered theoretically achievable, but practically impossible. They had built a weapon that manipulated gravity itself, and they had positioned it to use Sol as the ultimate weapon. The satellite network amplified the sun's gravitational pull 1,000-fold, creating an irresistible force dragging everything in the inner system toward Sol. The Concordat ships, caught in the gravity well, found their engines unable to overcome the pull. Shields designed to stop energy weapons and kinetic projectiles offered no protection against gravity. Concordat ships were pulled inexorably toward the sun, their hulls beginning to heat as they approached the solar corona. Zaltesh screamed orders, but there was nothing to be done. His flagship, like thousands of others, was drawn toward fiery death. The last thing he saw was the sun filling his view screen. And then the heat overwhelmed his ship's systems. 8,000 ships fell into Sol, the most powerful fleet ever assembled, destroyed in minutes by a weapon no one had seen coming. The solar corona blazed brighter for a brief time as the mass of the fleet added to its fires. On the Indomitable, Kowalski watched in silence as thousands of contacts vanished from his tactical display. He had done it. He had saved Earth. But the price was written in those disappearing contacts. Each one represented hundreds of crew members. Concordat personnel who followed orders, who believed in their cause, who never had a chance to escape. Admiral, Torres said quietly, we are receiving transmissions from the outer Concordat fleet. They are broadcasting surrender on all frequencies. Kowalski closed his eyes for a moment. Acknowledge their surrender. Order all human ships to cease fire. Any Concordat vessel that stands down will be allowed to withdraw unharmed. Ambassador Chen stood beside him, watching the sun return to normal as Dr. Okonkwo deactivated the gravity network. We won, she said, but there was no joy in her voice. Yes, Kowalski said. We won. The surviving Concordat ships, those that had lagged behind the main fleet and escaped the gravity weapon, jumped to faster-than-light travel and fled. They would carry word back to the Concordat Council. Word of humanity's ultimate weapon. Word of the price of trying to subjugate Earth. On the Concordat Council station, the eldest received the reports with disbelief. 8,000 ships destroyed. The combined might of 8 species gone, lost to a weapon that should not exist. The humans have violated every principle of civilized warfare, the Quelix delegate said, but his voice lacked conviction. They have shown us, another delegate said quietly, that they will do anything to remain free, that they are willing to pay any price, that they cannot be conquered. The eldest stood and looked at the assembled representatives. Some species had lost entire fleets, others had seen their military power shattered. All understood that continuing the war meant their own destruction. The Concordat will negotiate a peace treaty, the eldest said finally. We will recognize human sovereignty over their occupied systems. We will withdraw our forces from their territory, and we will never again underestimate the determination of a species fighting for survival. 6 months later, Ambassador Chen stood before a reformed Galactic Assembly. The Concordat as a unified power had collapsed. 6 species had made peace with humanity separately. The others were dealing with internal conflicts as citizens questioned why they had fought a war that cost so much for so little. Humanity never wanted to be conquerors, Chen said to the assembled delegates. We wanted to be neighbors. We wanted to explore, to learn, to share the galaxy with you. You mistook our desire for peace as weakness. You believed our love of freedom made us easy to control. You learned otherwise at a terrible cost. She looked around the chamber at faces from dozens of species, many watching humanity for the first time with something other than contempt or pity. The weapon we used to defend Earth has been dismantled. We will not keep such destructive power hanging over the galaxy, but the knowledge remains. The capability remains, and the determination remains. We will never again allow any power to dictate